A message for all of us. Your perseverance will ultimately lead to good and beautiful things. Each person who comes into this world has their own mission. Some live for themselves, some for others. Some live carefree, while others struggle through hardship. Is it ultimately the arrangement of fate or our own choice? Whatever the reason, there will surely always be a reason for you to persevere and continue. It's just that you don't know how to persevere, and in many cases, we don't have enough reasons to convince ourselves whether to keep going or not. Life is inherently a journey full of storms, facing each milestone. How do we not fall behind in times of difficulty? How do we overcome challenging days? If you're feeling perplexed and struggling in life, try opening the famous book, Lust for Life, by Irving Stone, the father of biographical novels, and read about the life story of the great Dutch painter, Vincent Van Gogh. As you read, you'll discover that in each person's life, no period of suffering is insurmountable. Only by being ready to go through thousands of cleansing trials can you truly refine yourself in the crucible of this earthly life. Only with perseverance can we forge strong armor and achieve a fresh new self. In this life, whether sailing with the wind or struggling against the current, please believe that your steadfastness will ultimately lead to good and beautiful things. Youthful uncertainty. What's the most important thing to do? Who among the young hasn't drifted, swept away by life's storms, unstable and uncertain? Who hasn't experienced vague days, unsure what the right choice is? Should you choose a job in a popular industry with high earning potential or pursue a career you're passionate about? The ambiguity of youth isn't just uncertainty about the future, but also an unclear understanding of ourselves. We crave independence yet fear straying from the crowd. We want to chase dreams but worry about the harsh realities. This conflict and struggle is almost something everyone faces during their youth, and young Vincent Van Gogh was no exception. He was born into a prestigious family, but his childhood was not very happy. In the eyes of adults, he was a strange boy, solitary and not fond of talking. Following family tradition, Vincent began working at the family-managed art dealership at the age of 16. The teenage Vincent plunged into his work with great enthusiasm. Sales soared, and he was highly praised by his manager. However, his honest nature made Vincent disagree with the practice of selling poor-quality paintings at exorbitant prices. Here, he repeatedly advised buyers not to purchase fake paintings at such high prices and even suggested to the manager to stop selling these tasteless items and instead offer good-quality oil paintings that even the poor could afford. As expected, the manager was furious. After several such incidents, he was forced to resign. After that, Vincent's father, a pastor, sent his son to Amsterdam to study theology, hoping he would become a pastor like himself. Vincent studied diligently, but after a year, he grew to detest the rigid and dogmatic academic life. When reading the Bible, his mind was often in turmoil, and he would frequently stare at the wall, asking himself if he was truly suited for the pastoral profession. Under the guidance of the church, he went to Borinage as a temporary pastor. Here, he received no salary, only daily necessities. While evangelizing there, Vincent still worked selflessly. Borinage was a mining region, home to Belgium's most hardworking and impoverished laborers. With a compassionate heart, Vincent frequently visited miners' families, living in similar houses and eating the same food as them, experiencing a miner's life from every angle. His deep empathy made him realize that the workers there were merely existing, not truly living. The harsh conditions had robbed them of their youth, joy, and human dignity. They even had to be ready for death at any moment, as the underground working environment was extremely dangerous. To help the miners, he shared his food, clothes, and money with everyone, even giving up his rented house to the homeless. The miners in Borinage were immensely grateful. They recognized his work and regarded him as a savior. However, those within the church believed that Vincent had acted against their conscience for dirty dogs and defiled the solemnity of Christianity. He was subsequently expelled from the church. Thus, another job came to an end. Vincent felt like a wandering husk of life in this desolate world. He pondered, "I long for success, but I can't achieve anything. Where is my rightful place in this life?" Just like Vincent, standing at the crossroads of youth, we have all felt vague, lost, denied, and rejected. The feeling of failure has drowned our self-confidence and enthusiasm. Standing at this life's crossroads, we don't know what the right thing to do is. Many follow the crowd, pleasing others, striving to acquire what everyone else has, believing it's a weapon for self-protection. But Vincent was different. Despite the hardship of his aimless days after being dismissed, his first action, no matter how severe the crisis, was to find inner peace by reading. He said reading books was always the greatest and most enduring joy for him. He could stay outdoors and read all day, focusing on each page, seeking guidance for life in every book. When a person knows how to find inner peace and guidance from within, they can truly understand themselves and seize precious opportunities on the journey to discover their true path. Vincent recalled that as a child, he had loved to draw, but because he only drew ordinary people, received no attention, and his parents disapproved, he stopped holding a paintbrush. One cold winter day, when Vincent was 27, after finishing a book and taking a walk, he happened to see a miner walking heavily across a field. Guided by his subconscious, he quickly pulled out the pencil he carried and sketched the image on the back of a letter. In that precise moment, he subdued the monster of suffering in his heart and felt a new desire ignite. Now I realize my ability to draw. I want to become an artist. This is my lifelong aspiration. A decision made in a moment, yet it would become a turning point that changed his entire life. From then on, he never put down his paintbrush, steadfastly pursuing work that held meaning for himself. There's a thought-provoking saying, "When young, the most perplexing thing is deciding what to do with your life. However, whatever you choose to do, you must do it wholeheartedly. Only then can it shape a person's value and dignity." You'll notice that for Vincent, regardless of the job or circumstances, he always worked diligently, fulfilling his responsibilities and potential. This is the prerequisite for someone to be able to choose valuable things. If he didn't do something, he wouldn't, but once he did, he would give it his all. The second thing Vincent did when facing the crises of his youth was to find inner peace. This is easy to say, but not everyone can achieve it. Imagine graduating and being fired from every job, or being 27 years old with no income, facing such anxiety, insecurity, and an uncertain future. What would you do? Many people start looking for temporary anesthetics to escape and alleviate these insecure emotional stresses. Some play games, binge-watch dozens of episodes of TV shows in one night. Others immerse themselves in social media. Stepping into the virtual world seems to give us a space to escape the stresses of reality, but it's also a place that makes a person increasingly avoid their own reality. Living in this world, the anxiety won't diminish. Instead, you'll feel increasingly lost. Some others, when faced with future insecurity, will abuse addictive substances: alcohol, stimulants, sweets, oversleeping, shopping. Each time an addiction is satisfied, it's a brief escape, but in the long run, it causes severe damage to physical and mental health and further worsens their financial situation. Still others will redirect their attention by working and studying tirelessly, trying to fill the inner emptiness and restlessness with busyness. This approach sounds positive, but excessive studying and working, without knowing exactly what one wants, can lead to physical and mental exhaustion, and even collapse. There are also those who, in difficult situations, will always try to seek support and comfort from others. Sometimes this search can bring temporary emotional support, but in the long run, it can cause profound harm, turning into a dependent or controlling relationship. Especially, most people will try to seek external validation, pursuing fame, wealth, and achievements to be recognized and praised by others. This method can temporarily boost self-worth according to worldly standards, but it doesn't truly resolve our inner insecurities. In reality, Vincent showed everyone a simple way that not everyone wants to follow. If you feel lost, read books. Reading is one of the best ways to achieve inner peace, a way to bring internal chaos back into order. You need to know that ambiguity will never be a fixed foundation for life. An ambiguous life fears those who work hard with all their might. An uncertain life is intimidated by those who know how to find inner peace. With Vincent, you will realize one thing: not every seed sprouts, but if you persistently sow, some seeds will surely grow into trees. When a person strives to reach closer to the sun, nothing in this world can block their light. With persistence and perseverance, a person will not decay. After being dismissed by the church, Vincent had no income whatsoever, relying solely on his brother's help to get by. For a long time, he lived in dire poverty. Once, he had no money for 11 days and had to beg his landlord for a little bread to survive. It was then that Vincent began to learn painting. For an aspiring painter, starting at 27 might seem too late. For instance, Edouard Manet, the founder of Impressionism, started painting at 18. Claude Monet, who painted the masterpiece Impression, Sunrise, began at 15. Vincent's friend, Paul Gauguin, also started at 10, and the Spanish painter Pablo Picasso began at 4. Yet Vincent understood nothing of proportion, lines, or the play of light and shadow. He simply felt that painting helped him focus and brought deep inner joy. If it were you, would you dare to start something new from scratch at 27? At that time, the common aesthetic standard for painting was still neoclassicism, judging a painting primarily on its realism. Consequently, Vincent's paintings were often criticized as ugly. Simultaneously, successive emotional shocks further deepened his suffering. He had poured his heart into loving women, but each pursuit yielded no results. Immersed in a whirlwind of emotions, with professional failures and broken relationships, Vincent experienced profound pain, falling into the darkest period of his life. However, he never complained. Instead, he bottled up all his sorrow and resentment, never abandoning his lust for life. In his diary, he wrote, "I choose to walk the path of truth and hardship. On this path, one will not decay. I absolutely will not give up my goal. On the contrary, this encourages me to strive for success." He walked over 80 kilometers to Brussels to learn from the masters, and even with bloodied feet from torn shoes, he did not falter. To improve his sketching skills, he diligently practiced day and night, constantly refining his technique. To capture the changing moods of the sea, he carried his heavy easel to the beach daily to paint. Harsh weather couldn't deter him. To perfectly render human figures, he persistently read many books on anatomy and related fields to deeply understand human bone structure and muscles. Vincent always yearned to learn and create without a moment's pause. In 10 years, he produced 864 oil paintings, 1037 sketches, and 150 watercolors, all demonstrating his steadfastness and enduring spirit. He once expressed, "Everyone has a flame within their heart. Passers-by can only see the smoke. Even if no one comes to warm themselves, I will protect that flame, maintain my passion, and patiently wait until someone comes to warm themselves." Fate had dealt Vincent the worst conditions, but he accepted it all, and importantly, he always kept that flame burning within, always ready to dedicate himself. A writer once said, "Everyone's longing for their life is the same. Everyone needs enough fortitude to endure hardship from work. Unfortunate children must, and fortunate children likewise. It's just that each person has a different path of endurance. Crisis is a compulsory lesson for everyone in this life, an experience for us to grow. Pain and exhaustion can only be endured and overcome by ourselves. But when you persevere to the end, you will forge sturdy armor for yourself, realize the meaning of growth, and become a person full of new vitality." From ancient times to the present, those who achieve great things not only possess outstanding talent, but also unwavering determination. So, persevere a little longer. The greatest joy in life is accomplishing what others thought you couldn't. Vincent showed us that even when facing loneliness and failure, as long as we maintain faith and passion, we can still find light and create miraculous things. Every step, every stroke of his brush, carried a powerful message of resilience and determination. And as he once said, "If you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and that voice will be silenced." Be ready to embrace challenges, even if you are a solitary warrior. Vincent's life choices were not supported by his family, misunderstood by his colleagues, and unrecognized by those who came before him. This plunged him into loneliness for a long time. But Vincent was certainly the most resilient solitary warrior, because even without companions, he never lost his true essence for external fame or gain. During those lonely years, walking and facing storms and torrents, he always remained steadfast to himself and used his passionate artworks to respond to everything. At that time, many painters tried every means to please the tastes of the upper class, going to salons to paint portraits for gentlemen and ladies. Art galleries in Paris were filled with mediocre works. Vincent clearly saw the boredom in them. But no matter how poor he was, he refused to conform to worldly trends and didn't expect his works to be understood by others. Instead, He cultivated his art, painting unique things that belonged solely to him. Works using bold colors and novel meanings were born one after another. The sun he painted was brilliant and fiery, as if it could pierce through layers of paper and embrace the viewer. The sunflowers and wheat fields under his brush were radiant yellow and full of wild spirit. His two paintings of Starry Night showed the Milky Way flowing, drawing viewers into a romantic encounter. He also poured all his passion and benevolent feelings into the wild mines and among the poor people, painting works that depicted the vitality of reality. The Potato Eaters represented the undying life of all impoverished families. First Steps depicted the simple childhood scene of many people. His two portraits of Dr. Gashett conveyed the disappointment brought by new social trends. In circumstances where society did not accept him, Vincent transformed loneliness into strength, turned suffering into skill, and ultimately created an entirely new art form, paving his own life's path and becoming a great painter whose name would be remembered forever. Such strong and excellent individuals, no matter how many ups and downs fate threw at them, never cared about external definitions. They understood the importance of following their own hearts, silently striving to cultivate their inner selves and steadfastly moving forward. A poem, roughly translated as The Lopped Oak, from the poetry collection of the German writer and poet Hermann Hesse, can speak volumes about Vincent's choices and attitude towards life, and it's also very much worth reflecting upon for our own life journeys. That poem goes as follows. The lopped oak. Into what shape were you pruned? You stand there so strange and peculiar. How much suffering have you endured? How many wounds are in your heart? Only an unyielding will remains. I, like you, have never abandoned life. Shattered and ruined. But even though I endure hardship day and night, I will still turn my eyes towards the light. The tender and subtle things in my heart are always carelessly mocked by the world. But my essence cannot be destroyed. I am very content, and I bear no grudge. From the lopped branches, how many times have I patiently grown new leaves? Despite all the pain, I still love this mad world. The most beautiful perseverance in the world. There is a painting I really like called Long Grass with Butterflies, painted by Vincent in 1890. That year, he was 37, and it was also the last year of his life. At that time, he was in a mental hospital in southern France. He was not allowed outside and could only see the world through the hospital window, where he painted this work. Not long after, he permanently left this world. This painting depicts a field of wild grass and butterflies with rough, continuous brushstrokes. The green grass is straightforward and simple, yet exudes strength and a profound lust for life. If he were truly mad, how could he have rendered such a magnificent arrangement of colors? People often consider Vincent a genius and also a madman, but when you read this book and learn about his journey of determining his life's direction, you will surely change your perspective. The moment you gaze at his paintings and empathize with his life, you will see that Vincent lived a life full of thorns, far from smooth, but he lived it to the fullest with steadfastness and a deep understanding of life. Life pushed Vincent to the brink many times, but he always responded with pure love. In his last letter, there was a sentence like this: "Only painting can express what is in my heart." He was not good at communication, but also did not try to force himself to please others. He considered the profit-driven paintings of his time to be of no human value. Though poor his entire life, selling only one painting and treated coldly by his era, he never followed the crowd. Vincent never married, had no children, and was repeatedly rejected in his proposals, yet he still believed in love. Even when starving to the point of nearly fainting, he was ready to share all his money and food with refugees. Once he found his life's purpose, he was steadfast and unwavering. His entire life was focused on two things: reading and painting. He read countless books and painted countless pictures. Later, when people studied his painting, The Starry Night, they discovered the secret that the structure and proportions of the starry sky perfectly matched actual data of nebulae. So, how could Vincent have known such astronomical knowledge belonging to the future, especially when he had no observational instruments at the time? In the book Van Gogh, The Life, the two authors suggest that this might be related to Vincent's extensive reading. His reading genres were incredibly diverse, including the most advanced scientific materials of his time. But some also say that this talented painter had reached a state of superconsciousness. For example, Osho said that madness can be defined as either sinking below the mind or rising above the mind. Sinking below the mind is illness, while rising above the mind is healthy and whole. Vincent was not mad. Rather, he was in a state higher than ordinary consciousness. With his pure awareness and love, he could visualize and paint stars in a spiral shape, while it was more than 100 years after Vincent that modern scientists discovered stars have spiral shapes. At that time, people even mocked him for painting trees taller than stars, further asserting that Vincent was mad when they heard him explain. "I don't know, but whenever I sit beside a tree, I suddenly feel the tree talking to me. I am the Earth's desire reaching beyond the stars." His words were meaningless to the society of his time, but they hold meaning and are validated in our modern era, as we humans constantly aspire to walk on the moon and migrate to other planets. They confined him to an asylum after he cut off his own ear, yet a madman could steadfastly persevere with beautiful things in life. A madman created outstanding works of art that people now consider the greatest masterpieces of all time. A madman who could keep the flame of passion burning within, cultivating a talent seemingly connected to the power of the universe. This power stemmed from empathy, compassion for others, finding inner peace, discovering himself, and ultimately contributing and giving. That madman is someone we should deeply reflect upon and learn from, because he possessed the most beautiful perseverance in the world. This is perhaps a philosophy of life I've shared through many books, and today, from a part of the life of the great Dutch painter, I hope you can understand Vincent a little more. So that when you gaze at his paintings, you can find more inspiration, a lust for life within yourself, and a deeper inner connection. In this colorful and diverse life, if just one moment can help you move closer to awakening and steadfastly return to yourself, then for me, that is already wonderful.